On November 19th, Pluto, the planet of the subconscious mind and destruction, moves into Aquarius after 16 life-changing, transformative years in Capricorn. And today, on our weekly astrological and ancestral tarot guidance for the Sovereign Sisterhood movement, we are going to dissect it. And we are going to not only dissect it, but put all the puzzle pieces together so that we could understand what are the lessons that are here upon us to be integrated so that as we move into a brand new era, one that our ancestors often spoke about, we are fully prepared and ready to take accountability, do the shadow work, and rebuild our lives with integrity. Today, we're going to be discussing how this powerful shift into Aquarius is going to reshape our focus toward innovation, collective progress, and of course, authentic self expression. I'm also going to share with you the lessons that I personally have learned in the last 16 years, which have been monumental in the rebirth that I myself went through, which I'm sure you went through as well. Then we're going to tune into the Ancestral Tarot Guidance for the week to further help you navigate these massive changes, including how to ground yourself in this very restless energy and how to step into the visionary opportunities that are ahead of you. So if this sounds like something that resonates, stick with me because we are going to go down the rabbit hole to help you reclaim your sovereignty. Satnam and welcome, my beautiful sovereign sisters. Thank you for being here on a monumental time to be alive. Our souls decided to take this incarnation during a time where the human experience completely will be transformed and will continue to evolve at a pace that many of us can't even imagine yet. Why? Because the last 16 years, our wonderful friend who moves very slowly, Pluto, has been in Capricorn, teaching us lessons both personally and in the collective consciousness around the importance of accountability, of shadow work, and rebuilding with integrity. So now, as Pluto moves into Aquarius on November 19th, these lessons form the foundation for a brand new era of innovation, of authenticity, and collective sovereignty. So let's break it down and look at what this means to you and to the world. What we're going to do first is we're going to look at Capricorn and what Capricorn did for the last 16 years, its track record that it left, how that applied to you personally and the collective. Then we're going to go deeper into Aquarius and we're going to look at the historical data beyond what is happening today. What was happening in other time periods when Aquarius was in Pluto, so that we can get a better understanding of what to expect for the next 20 plus years. Then I'll give you my lessons, personal lessons that I learned that will empower me and help me move into this new era with sovereignty, fully connected to my soul. Lessons that I hope that you yourself can integrate and embody so that not only can you thrive in the age of Aquarius, but so that you can finally fully come back home to yourself. So let's start with Capricorn and Capricorn's lessons for the last 16 years. So I was born in January. I am a true Capricorn at heart. And just all the studying I've done around my birth chart, of course, the birth chart is beyond, your sun sign and your rising and your moon. Those are very important. There's a lot of, there's a story that's told with everything in that birth chart. And the more that I studied it, the more that I understood what these last 16 years were really all about. For the collective consciousness, Pluto first went into Capricorn in 2008. And you all remember what was happening in 2008, right? I was in real estate back then, so believe me, I was at the center of the earthquake with the real estate market completely crashing. And that's what began this period of complete destruction and rebuilding in these aspects that Capricorn governs and rules. You see, planet Pluto is the planet of transformation, of death, of rebirth. And Pluto being in Capricorn the last 16 years, as I've talked about in many of my other podcasts today, we're going to go deeper into it, is the sign of structure, of institutions, of authority, of discipline. And what this transit has been doing in the last 16 years, it's been creating this collective breakdown of restructuring societal foundations, Remember, Capricorn represents the archetype of the wise elder, the builder. So the themes reflecting around Capricorn were of tradition, of responsibility, of hierarchy. With Pluto's presence, though, in this sign, what it did is that it exposed the shadow side of all of these systems, corruption. We have now received awareness around corruption literally in almost every aspect of the systems that used to govern us in the age of Pisces, in this age that we are now leaving. For example, corruption in the medical industry, pharmaceutical, big pharma, corruption in the government, lots of things that are continuing to be disclosed and will continue to be disclosed, because the Age of Aquarius is not a one-day event. This is not an overnight. We're going to be moving through these destruction, further destruction, and more of upheaval so that we can expose the true corruption at the root cause. We got to get to the root cause. Otherwise, it's just like putting a band-aid on top of the wound. So we'll continue to see major revelations around, the corruption around government, the corruption around healthcare, the corruption in Hollywood. We are seeing Hollywood literally completely fall apart, as I've shared before in past videos about how that impacted the election in such a big way. But in a bigger overview, what it's doing is that it's breaking down all of these rigid structures that no longer serve the collective good. Because as I share with you, the age of Aquarius, this Pluto and Aquarius energy, none of these things that have fallen apart, that will continue to be revealed as corrupt, will fit into this new age. And if you do not evolve, you go extinct. So those people that are not evolving to this new age are having a really hard time in this lifetime. And eventually, that's like the dinosaur will basically choose to go extinct because of the inability to change and to adapt to this new way of being. So for the last 16 years, we had this global financial crisis that was the starting point of Pluto entering into Capricorn in 2008. As Pluto stepped into Capricorn, the big financial crisis began to occur, which started to lead to this path of reevaluation of financial institutions and regulatory frameworks. And Aquarius is going to bring that home in an even bigger way. There was also a lot of rise in populism. So we saw a period where there was a surge in lots of movements worldwide, different movements standing for the opposition of corruption, movements where people no longer sat around allowing for there to be this continued abuse, basically challenging these traditional political structures and authorities, as you all saw. We also saw a lot of corporate accountability, and we're going to see even more of that. How many corporations got canceled because of the way they were dealing with their businesses, or the exposure of the continued SA assaults from these high-level leaders in these big corporations? Many corporations, especially those not operating from the Age of Aquarius energy, were basically faced with increased scrutiny that led to major reforms in corporate governance and ethics. I mean, think about lately, what was the last one? Abercrombie and Fitch, the two owners being arrested for a situation, right? Lots of abuse that was exposed with children, with women, with embezzlement of money, with basically realizing that who we thought was the cartel and the bad guys were actually not even at the root of who played this part of, I'm just a polished politician, or I'm just like this rich person and I have no shadows in my closet, to now like, wow, the ones that we thought literally lived authentically were the ones with the biggest shadows in their closet. All of that being exposed. Why? Because in the Age of Aquarius, there are no secrets, and we'll go deeper into that. We also saw a ton of awareness around environmental issues. There was this heightened focus on sustainability, which resulted in a lot of global agreements, like recently, like the Paris Climate Accord, and a lot of the things that we're working through and moving through have to do with the horrible way that we as human have treated Mother Earth. But a larger part of that is also the fact that Mother Earth is evolving, and that what we're going through from the age of Pisces, leaving that age where Pluto was in Capricorn, to now the age of Aquarius, where this has happened before, the great apocalypses, the great floods. And really what it is the North and South poles literally switching directions. And the reason that this happens every 20,000 years is because the position of Mother Earth to the sun changes. And whenever the position to Mother Earth changes, especially to a certain degree, it changes our consciousness, it changes our lives here on planet Earth, because we are like plants, water, the sun, all of that affects us emotionally, spiritually, and physically in our body. So as these changes started to happen, we also started to see changes with Mother Earth as it relates to the nature, but also the human beings really destroying her, which is another way of her also responding to defend herself, as she's like literally switching from this north pole to the south pole axis. We're going to continue to see way more of that. In fact, 2025, Neptune and Pisces, which are all about water, are going to play a monumental a monumental role in some of the biggest changes that we're going to see next year as it relates to environmental and just Mother Nature responding to defend and to continue to evolve, which is what she's doing right now, whether we like it or not. She's birthing a new Earth. And if we don't evolve with her again, we'll just go extinct, like in the other great apocalypses, great floods that have been talked about in the Bible. We literally are living through it. But like I've said many times, the great flood this time is of your emotions. And those are the people that are drowning and not making it into this next upgrade of consciousness. We also started to see a major societal transformation where we were dismantling these systems, government, corporations, financial. We've witnessed recessions, we witnessed political upheavals, movements demanding accountability and change. That's only going to get stronger in the age of Aquarius, because we've had to take a lot of personal responsibility these last 16 years. And those that have not are now in jail, or they're being held accountable by the people. On an individual level, this transit has asked you to confront your own personal structures, right? Your habits, your career path, your foundation, and release what is unsustainable, because a nervous system that's completely burned out, even if you're the most intelligent human being in the world, is not going to assist you in carrying out your dharmic purpose. And now we're understanding that. We also looked at power and authority, right? The transit challenged how we relate to authority and power, both externally and within ourselves. Are you operating from fear, control, or out of integrity? Because if you are not, these last 16 years really showed you in many challenges where there was abuse of power in your own life, where you were operating from a place, I need to control instead of I need to surrender and trust a higher power, God. So we went through a major rebirth, and a lot of it, yes, it was a rebirth through discipline, because Pluto and Capricorn demanded discipline, resilience. It encouraged us to rebuild this foundation with integrity, with long-term vision, trusting that what was falling apart was necessary for us to really emerge like the phoenix rising as our truest and our highest self. So now, as we say goodbye to Pluto in Capricorn, we welcome now the age of Aquarius on the 19th of November. And this period, Pluto will be in Aquarius from 2024 until 2043. So we have more than 20 years for this energy to really ground ourselves in it. Like I said, this is not going to be overnight, but we're already seeing the inkling awareness of all of this new era and the transformation we're all moving through, because this age of Aquarius is all about innovation. It's about collective consciousness, the Christ consciousness, not just one hierarchy ruler. There's this area is about the power of network. It's about Aquarius being ruled by Uranus, traditionally Saturn, which is the archetype of the visionary, of the rebel, emphasizing themes of individuality, of progress, and humanitarianism. And even our brother Jesus Christ in the Bible, I believe it's Luke 22:10, I believe it is, where he speaks about paying attention to the water barrier. And Aquarius, the sign of Aquarius is the water barrier in itself, and to pay attention to the water barrier, because this is when the great coming of the Christ would be. And it's not our brother Jesus Christ coming from heaven and saving you, it's you awakening the same consciousness that he came to teach. Because I don't know if you knew, but Jesus Christ was Gnostic. He understood that God was within each and every one of us. He said, "You will go do bigger things than I have ever done. Stop idolizing me. Stop worshiping me." That was the age of Pisces, when we worship the priest, when we worship the church, when we worship the guru. We have to stop doing that, and we have to understand that what is in whoever we admire and are inspired by is in us, but also whoever we're triggered by is also in us. So that's the accountability that was needed to be done. And that's why when I share with you some of these lessons that I learned, it's so crucial for you to embody these, because if you don't understand them, you're going to suffer a lot, especially as we step into this new era. And if we look back to Pluto and Aquarius as a historical context, you have to understand that, like, back in 1777, the Declaration of Independence was created in 1776 as Pluto was just in Capricorn, which is why the United States of America is going through its Pluto return, complete destruction and rebirth. And once in 1777, between 1777 and 1798, when Pluto was just going into Aquarius, you have to remember that back then, that was the American and French revolutions, where there was an emphasis on ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Same thing that we're all moving through right now. It's like these new leaders are in power, but what they don't realize is that they have a whole different crowd, an audience that actually cares, an audience that is involved, an audience that's going to hold leadership accountable. Because look what we've done together. It's like that Ants movie. I don't know if any of you seen it. It's like a cartoon, right? And in the Ants movie, there's these grasshoppers that are always like bullying the ants, and basically the ants are their slaves. Or every year, the ants have to give them a certain amount of their harvest. Well, the ants finally got smart, and the ants all got together. And because all the ants got together, they were able to defeat even these very big grasshoppers. That's such a beautiful movie to watch right now, especially with this big transit happening, because that's the age of Aquarius energy. Like now, the connection, whether you talk about social media or spiritually, that we're all going through, because there's a big awakening that has occurred for so many of us, because so many people have hit rock bottom, so many people have gone through their dark night of the soul, and yet they still believe in Christ, they still believe in God, they still believe in love, they still have faith in the human spirit. Those are the people that are rebuilding this new earth, and those are the people that are coming together already. I mean, it looks like doomsday out there, but the truth is that what they're not showing on mainstream media is the fact that these are the leaders that are rebuilding this new earth in a whole new way, where again, community becomes so important that there cannot be a dictator like a grasshopper that controls or tries to govern. The other thing during these periods, back in 1532 and 1553, when Pluto was also in Aquarius, that was the great Protestant Reformation, which challenged the Catholic Church's authority. That was where Luther, I forget what his full name was, but he literally said, God is not in a church. God is in all of us, because he couldn't understand why God would give all this money to the church, but yet have all these people starving and dying for food. So he was saying there's something wrong with the church. There's not something wrong with God. And those were the famous words that happened between 1532 and 1553, right as Pluto was going into Aquarius. And back even more in 1286, between 1286 and 1308, when Pluto was also in Aquarius, this was the big Renaissance period that began. And what did that mark? It was a period of significant cultural, artistic, and scientific advancements. And what are we going through right now? We're going through, first of all, God is not in a church. God is not in a guru. God is inside of me. There is no separation. That is the Christ consciousness that's awakening in all of us for many reasons, because many of us now have access to things like Kundalini yoga, tools that were only available to queens and kings at one time. But also, like I mentioned before, the position of Mother Earth to the sun has changed, which changes our consciousness because of the amount of sun and light that we're getting. Think about all these beautiful the aurora lights that we've been all experiencing, especially in 2024. Those aurora lights contain what is known as plasma energy. This is what the unified field, the Adi Shakti, the basically pranic, chi, call it what you will, Kundalini energy is all about. And that energy, remember, it tapped into Mother Earth as these significant transits were happening. That raises people's consciousness. That's why, again, the Christ consciousness, exactly what our brother really came to teach, which was not religion, which was not you are separate from God, or you're a sinner because of what you did to me, but instead I came to teach you about the resurrection. That is why so many of us are awakening to that truth. This is a major renaissance that we're going through in body, mind, and spirit. We're seeing a renaissance in healing. We're going, and it's so beautiful because instead of like evolving, we're actually going back to our roots, to our ancestral teachings, realizing that they were way more advanced than us. Realizing that they were not savages. These stories where our school books and these governments taught us this, their illusion of history, where they've been known to erase history and to rewrite it so that they could have a narrative that they could push onto you. All that stuff is coming to the light. All these books that they banned in the United States, now people finding them and reading them. My goodness, it's completely changing the way we see the world, the way we interact with the world, and our relationship with ourselves in general. So you can expect, as now Pluto sits in Aquarius for these next 20 years, is an incredibly fast moving collective transformation where we're shifting from this hierarchical down structures to decentralized. Look what's even happening with money, with banks and currency. All of that is changing in such a big way throughout the world, where now the systems that will work will have to be community focused. It has to include also advancements in technology, the rise of grassroots movements, and a focus on collective empowerment, the highest good for all, not just for you. That was the age of Pisces, Darwinian theory of competition and survival of the fittest. That does not anymore fit into the collective consciousness. I mean, you're seeing these corporations that are getting canceled because they still have that mentality. We also have a great push in the next 20 years for innovation and technology. And we're already seeing the beginning marks of that. Pluto was in Aquarius this year of 2024. I believe it was in March and then up to like May, and then it left back to Capricorn. And then finally now on the 19th, it goes fully into Aquarius for the next 20 years. So we started to already see some of these revolutionary technological advancements with the release of artificial intelligence like ChatGPT. And this is just the beginning. I mean, I just saw something about Apple creating this $20,000 technology where you can ask like astral project and teleport yourself to somewhere else. And we're just now I mean, we're barely getting into the age of Aquarius. Can you imagine what life is going to be like in even a year and in 2 years with the amount of technology that they have not disclosed to us? And again, this is technology that they found in the ancient ruins of the Mayan civilizations, of the Mexicans, of all throughout the world. They've always had access to it, but they, again, it's like this whole story since the beginning of time of only some of us should have all this power and knowledge. You all, you're not ready for this. That barrier broken, because so many of us are advancing the most advanced technology that we can advance, which is our brain and our nervous system. Like I said, Kundalini yoga is a technology, and it was only available to certain people back even before the 60s. It was available only if you were a queen, king, or you were some kind of guru or yogi that meditated for long, long periods of time. Like to know one mantra, you had to have studied under a guru for a long time. We have access to that now. We understand now how powerful that inner technology is. First of all, the heart, the nervous system, and the brain, to be able to then use the body as advanced technology to astral project, to teleport, to speak in dreams with each other. It's already been proven. I just recently saw an article last week about how they were able to prove scientifically that two people communicated with each other in dreams. So again, in just the beginning of the age of Aquarius. So it's very important to continue to stay grounded, because a lot of these things are going to make people really crazy. They're going to feel like this world is not safe as it is, but then they're going to feel overwhelmed by, what do you mean we can do that? Which is going to drive us into this wanting and desire to be authentically ourselves. It's like it's collective consciousness and community, power back to the people, but there's this push for individuality as it relates to your authenticity. Personal freedom, self-expression is going to become a central theme for the next 20 years. The collective is going to challenge conformity and outdated traditions in favor of uniqueness and inclusivity. On a personal level, this transit is going to invite you to step into your unique role within the collective. It's going to ask you to harness your own individuality in order to contribute to the greater good, embracing authenticity while also being part of something larger than yourself. That's why we went from soap operas that we used to watch and we used to listen to those people on TV. So then it went into reality TV stars, which we lost all the trust for them, right? Because they were puppets as well. To all the from Hollywood to reality TV to now social media. So now everybody's looking at social media, and those that are the most authentic are the ones that will definitely shine and make a mark. And think about even beyond social media, podcasts. Look at the election, like I talked about last week, right? Go check out that episode if you missed it, because it breaks down everything of why Donald Trump actually won. Why did he win? Well, because he was innovative. He was using people that act like podcasters and the right messages to the people that got to those that actually cared. You know, they listen to podcasters. They don't listen to ABC or NBC or all those news, because we all know that those are sold out and bought out, right? And this is going to be a very, very thin line to walk through, because now, you know, if there was a mafia involved with in corruption with the TV and with reality, they are definitely going to try to infiltrate the social media and those that are being really, really authentic, which is why it's so important to ground yourself and to know who you are, so that you don't sell out for the way these other people sold out for, which was fame, which in turn caused them to basically lose their livelihood. There's going to be also in the next 20 years a lot of revolution and rebellion, because Aquarius challenges oppressive systems. It's going to spark revolutions that demand equality, fairness, and innovation. That's why I was saying these new leaders, they don't even know what they're up against, because they've never experienced anything like this. And beyond that, there's this unity of networks, the power of collaboration, the power of global community, the power of women coming back together in community beyond what the patriarchy has basically conditioned us to be. Humanity is going to begin to see itself as interconnected. If you're not already seeing and experiencing that, I mean, for me, the world feels so small now, right? We're going to be able to now address these global challenges, such as climate or war or things of that nature, and bring them together to solutions through technology, but also through our own opening of the Christ consciousness, this awareness around our heart that we truly are impacted by what's happening, even if it's thousands and thousand miles away. So expect these amazing new themes as we step into Aquarius of lots of technological innovation, social reforms galore, decentralization in governance, finance, cryptocurrencies, information sharing, collective consciousness, growing emphasis on community, collaboration, power to the people, global interconnectedness. I mean, even with the way translation is now, we can speak to someone on the other side of the world, even if we don't speak the same language. And a big focus and push towards environmental focus, innovative solutions to climate, to water, to all of these different things that in the past were actually very, very detrimental. So for me, this has been lessons that I've learned in over the last 16 years, that one of these Russian novelists, my son shared this quote with me. His name is Dostoevsky, and I'm probably not even saying it right, but he was this Russian novelist. And when he shared this quote with me, I feel like that's exactly what summarized the age of Aquarius or the age of Capricorn these last 16 years. And the quote says, "Your worst sin is that you've destroyed and you betrayed yourself for nothing." I don't believe sin is real, but if there was ever sin, your worst sin is that you've destroyed and betrayed yourself for nothing, because this reflects the pain of self-betrayal, the process of us confronting our shadow, and the journey of self-acceptance and of healing, which to me has been the themes for the last 16 years. You see, the last 16 years for me have been about healing my toxic masculinity to surrendering to my divine feminine energy. For me, the last 16 years have been about prioritizing this creative aspect of who I am beyond what the logical mind always trained me to do. Also allowing me to come into this divine feminine energy of the mother that I am, the leader in my home, beyond the leader I was and continue to be in the world, because my biggest legacy has been in it will always be my home and my children, my husband. And through the last 16 years, I had to face a lot of aspects of myself where I was a victim, blaming the world, blaming my parents, blaming the government, blaming everyone else, not taking accountability, until I jumped on the healing journey, which awakened these shadows within me that were horrific to face, very painful, through meditation, through the work that I've done through A Course in Miracles, spiritual psychotherapy, but that ultimately liberated me from this point of victimization to full surrender. What I mean by that is I'm creating my own reality, and my only problem has been the belief that I'm separate and disconnected from God. And these have been pivotal lessons for me about how my relationship with God corresponds to the relationship I actually have with myself. And that is just not very easy for a lot of people. And it wasn't easy for me either to fully take accountability for my life and to make a decision to be willing to see things differently, which is what led me on my generational healing journey. All brought about pivotal lessons, which involved understanding the difference between feeling victimized and learning to surrender to God, learning to trust God, learning to heal my mind so that I could shift my perceptions about what I had experienced as a soul that needed a lot of healing, but also what my ancestors went through, because I am the living expression of them, just as you are. So this last 16 years was a major focus in releasing victimhood and learning the difference between surrendering to growth versus remaining in victimization. This journey for the last 16 years for me required me to step outside of cycles of self-pity and embracing personal power and accountability, which is what I call the shadow work. Shadow work is you facing your own self, realizing that as much as you're the problem, you're also the solution, and really taking into account the teachings of my brother Jesus Christ through A Course in Miracles, which has taught me that no one crucifies you. You crucify yourself. You put that cross on. And that we truly, like our brother Jesus Christ, can be on that cross and say, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do," because he knew who he was. And that's the journey for me for the last 16 years. This journey of spiritual awakening, where I've had to learn to look at myself and then look at where others triggered me and understand that they were but a reflection of these unhealed parts within me. I've had to learn to be authentically myself, learn that it is safe to speak my truth and to be who I know myself to be and who God knows me to be, so that through my own self-acceptance and facing of these shadows that I once called my biggest Judas, that through that equanimity with God, knowing that God loves me fully for who I am, no change needed, that I can reflect that energy towards others so that they can have more compassion for themselves, so that they can learn to accept themselves in their totality, as a reminder that the saints were at once in their lives some of the most disconnected people from God. We'll just call it that. What I also learned during the last 16 years was that the key to my soul was prana. I never understood that. You see, one of the things that was a resonating theme for me was when I went to go work with plant medicine, Mother Ayahuasca in the Amazon jungle. I remember that Mother Ayahuasca told me in one of those ceremonies that this ceremony has now given you the keys to your soul. But you still have to get up every day and open that door. And for the last 10 years after my ceremony, because the ceremony happened in 2015, but for me, it feels like it was just yesterday because Mother Ayahuasca lives through me and within me, and she expresses herself through the channeling that I do from God, from highest source, from love. And I didn't understand what she meant until this weekend when I attended, actually in perfect divine intervention and timing, I have a monthly Kundalini Yoga therapist certification class. I'm in the program with the Guru Ramdas Center for Medicine and Humanology. It's a 3-year-long program to become a Kundalini Yoga therapist, with some of the wisest, most beautiful teachers that I can't even describe to me. They're walking angels on this earth. But the last 4 days I spent right before this Pluto goes into Aquarius in my course, which was all about origins and identity, which was all about understanding the process of incarnation. What happens when the soul decides to incarnate? What are the different layers of this dense matter that we see here as a body? The gunas, the tattvas, what did it all comprise? Which in further episodes I will share more about that. But through this, we didn't really learn, we remembered everything. And we also practiced this Kundalini Yoga meditation for 61 minutes of pranayama. And this pranayama was a constant inhalation and breathing, no breaks, right? 61 minutes. Actually, it was a total of 66 minutes in completion. Right at the beginning, I literally thought I wasn't going to be able to do this. I've done longer meditations before, but this was a lot because pranayama breathing was always a challenge for me. And when it came to my Kundalini yoga practice, it was always easier for me to like hold my hands up or do the even bodily movements when we needed to. But when it came to breathing, it was the hardest part for me to learn to expand my lungs and to learn to breathe consciously. So when we first started the meditation, I almost like had like a panic attack. So I was like, how am I going to be here for 61 minutes in this group and 66 minutes and literally just breathe it out for this entire time? And the beginning was very uncomfortable. There was a lot of emotions and just moving through me, and which I tried not to resist. Towards probably 3/4 of the way in, I started to see this collective vastness, almost like the Milky Way, like the universe, right? And all of a sudden, as the breath increased and increased and increased, it was like almost like forming a key. And the key was guiding me. And then all of a sudden, I see this door. And there's a door, but I don't know how to open it. And as I continued with my breathing and my breathing, I realized that the prana that I was creating the form of a key. And with that key, I opened the door finally. I didn't do that in my ayahuasca ceremony. My ayahuasca ceremony said, I'm going to give you the key, but you have to open the door. And for the last 10 years, I've been trying to find the door again. And I haven't been able to find it until this last 4 days when I was fully able to accept and finally be me. And as I opened the door, I looked to the other side of the door, and to my surprise, what I find on the other side of the door is complete infinite vastness, more of the universe. And I realized there that that is what my soul is: vastness, infinity, no identities, no attachments, complete purity, essence of connection to it all. And that's when my healing journey finally came home. I have finally been given the key through my Kundalini yoga practices and A Course in Miracles spiritual psychotherapy, which was prana, which then opened the door where I finally came back home to myself. And that's what these last 16 years have been about. But they've come with a lot of work, shadow work, facing myself, facing even those people that at one point I called my biggest Judas, the ones that I felt had hurt me the most in this world. And yes, I've had even conversations with these people, but these conversations were guided by a higher power where when these conversations finally occurred because of the healing work that I was doing and God aligning this moment in time and space, and Our Lady of Guadalupe also really empowering me, that not only did I heal because I was finally able to speak, but also the other person healed. The person that at one point I detested, I hated, the person that at one point I thought was my biggest enemy. Now, because of this healing work and all of the ways that I've surrendered in the last 16 years to dismantle an old, outdated self, God has bestowed upon me my kingdom, which is the key. And to access that door, all I have to do is continue to increase and sustain my pranic field, which is where my Kundalini yoga practice comes into play, and my Course in Miracles spiritual psychotherapy practice comes into play. And in our healing live session this week in our private Facebook group, because you all know that the Sovereign Sisterhood Academy is not open for enrollment right now, which is where is my group coaching program for generational healing. But we also have a free private Facebook group where every Wednesday I go live to share a weekly live healing session with you. I'm going to break it down even further and explain to you why prana is so important as it relates to you coming home and opening the door to your soul, which means authenticity, living out your truest and highest purpose, but also what that has to do with generational healing and why it's so important that we absolutely take accountability on this path, even if we've been hurt or felt like we've been abused in this lifetime. So join us over there on Wednesdays. I'll link below the description. You can find us at facebook.com/group /Sovereign Sisterhood Movement. And like I said, I'll link it below so you can understand more what I mean about prana, because it's huge and it's actually something that you will absolutely need to understand to learn to thrive in the age of Aquarius. So what I would say for this age of Aquarius, there's certain challenges that we need to be aware of. First, the resistance to shadow work. Many people that enter into this path of healing, the holistic path of healing, the Gnostic path that our brother Jesus Christ taught us, which is to face yourself, to know yourself, to see yourself as the highest daughter of God because you did that. What happens is that they begin this journey and then they get to a point, and this happened to me too. I got to this point where I had to take such major accountability for my life and look at my own shadows in order to forgive others, to forgive me, that it gets so tough for people that they revert back to like dogmatic religion. Think of like Doreen Virtue, that lady who created those oracle cards at one point, and now she's like a diehard Christian because she said she had these visions and all this stuff, and she doesn't believe in the cards and all that. That's a great example of somebody who could not face her shadows. It became too difficult for her. So she reverted back to giving her power away to somebody outside of her, the church, the priest, what call it what you will. Even Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is like, of course I'm here as your guide. Of course I can assist you, but you understand that you are as powerful as me. And you gotta stop pretending like you're not. So when we continue to resist facing ourselves through meditation, through A Course in Miracles spiritual psychotherapy, then we will suffer even more. And that is literally why the dinosaurs went extinct, because they did not evolve. The only way to evolve is for you to face yourself, for you to integrate these shadow aspects of you, those parts of you that you deny, that you don't want anyone to know about. It's important for you to make peace with that. And along with that, another challenging thing is the reflection of the past. Being able to safely look at who you used to be can be very painful. But seeing your past self lost and hurting is going to be the pathway to evoke the compassion you need for yourself rather than the judgment. That is the journey that I've been on for the last 16 years, feeling all of these emotions of shame, of guilt, learning to alchemize them, and learning to have compassion for myself and for all of those that have been involved in the journey, because they've been instrumental, whether you call them your enemies, Judas, or your biggest supporters. The other thing that's going to be absolutely crucial, and this is why I know God guided me to create the Sovereign Sisterhood Academy, the Sovereign Sisterhood movement, and Satori spirituality and vitality, is going to be the importance of ritual in the age of Aquarius. I've been guided in my communities to always host new moon, full moon, equinox, solstice, eclipse type meditation classes, Kundalini yoga meditation classes, not knowing that what I was doing was reverting back to my ancestral ways of the way my ancestors, especially the women, gathered together during these sacred times for meditation. And the importance of ritual, because our ancestors lived in ritual from the morning they got up until the evening, is going to be bigger than ever. And this is going to be key for those that understand that we are returning to a matriarchal society where we do need to be in harmony with the natural rhythms of Mother Earth. Intuition is going to be your biggest asset. And those that do not have ritual will lack all of these qualities. And rituals is different for many, but I do invite you to also look at what your ancestors practiced as ritual and to get familiarized with those things. But in any case, to really learn to honor the natural cycles of Mother Earth and to participate in them. Because when you do, you heal. And one of the things that happens in my community, and it happened for me too, before my healing journey, my moon cycles were completely out of balance. They were heavy, they were happening sporadically, all these different things. When I began my healing journey, I came back into harmony with the natural cycles of Mother Earth. So even my moon cycle started to get back into harmony with like the new moon and the full moon. That's when you know your hormones are healing. Your nervous system is becoming more regulated. And without ritual, we will not be in harmony with ourselves or with our ancestors. So ritual can include meditation, it can include walking, it can include prayer, it can include singing, whatever is a consistent thing that you do to ground and to really reconnect to your true self. That needs to be a discipline that you embrace in the age of Aquarius more than ever. And the last thing is the Christ consciousness, because this new age of Aquarius calls for a global collective consciousness to come together. The practices of what our brother Christ consciousness or brother Jesus Christ came to teach us about compassion, forgiveness, unconditional love will be more important than ever. It will be those that actually walk the talk as it relates to the Christ consciousness, meaning I have grievances, I haven't forgiven this person, and then decide to be willing to see things differently because you don't have to worry about the how. All I did was I said to God, I am willing to see things differently. The way I used to live my life of control, no relationship with you, God, does not work. So I am willing to see this differently. So just me saying those words, which are from A Course in Miracles, invited God into my life, which allowed me to then come into alignment with the teachings of A Course in Miracles, which I've studied since 2008, and with Kundalini Yoga because I was willing to see things differently. And because of that, the Christ consciousness, that light was also born inside of me because I was able to face those shadows, because I was able to forgive the biggest Judas, the people that I thought were my biggest Judas in my life. Through that, then forgive myself too, because you cannot forgive yourself if you don't forgive others first. So this journey for the last 16 years has been about awakening this Christ within me. And it has brought about some of the most profound lessons around self-awareness, around shadow integration, around compassion for myself or others, and a major spiritual awakening that has reconnected me back to divine source and to God, to the ability to use this key to the soul that is always open and always readily available for me to come home to. So what these lessons are that you will need to apply in the age of Aquarius is going from self-betrayal to authenticity, radical authenticity, going from shadow work now to visionary expansion. If you haven't done the shadow work, you have to do the shadow work first. And if you don't do it in this lifetime, you're going to have to do it in the next lifetime. But if you're someone who has been integrating the shadow work, then this inner work done under Capricorn shadows now in the age of Aquarius, you can embrace the visionary role. That's what Jesus Christ said in the Bible. Remember Luke 22:10? Watch out for the water barrier. When you see the water barrier, now it's time. Now I will have returned, but not him in the physical or just one person, in all of us. And that's what's happening right here. It's also taking us this new era from structure to innovation, ritual and discipline, all those things you learned through Capricorn, because it wasn't just all bad news, right? They become the tools now for channeling this Aquarian creativity and innovation. So whether it's through Kundalini yoga, breath work, meditation, walking, visualization, these are the holistic practices that ground the infinite possibilities of Aquarius in tangible action. This is how you strengthen your intuition. This is how you become the innovative visionary that this new earth actually needs and welcomes and invites and celebrates. And lastly, from Christ consciousness to collective consciousness, meaning Capricorn, personal accountability, spiritual practice, right? Aquarius, now collective, all of us. The compassion and surrender learned in Capricorn, now we get to apply that to healing and uplifting the global community. So as we've seen now, this incredible shift from Capricorn to Aquarius is all about building on the lessons of discipline, of integrity, to create something truly visionary. But how do we personally align with this energy? Well, this is where this week's Ancestral Tarot Guidance is going to help you and offer you even further guidance. But before we get into that, if this is resonating, please, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with all of your friends, especially all of our sovereign sisters. Remember, we are a growing global community, and every single like, every single share, every single comment helps us build this even bigger to all of these women that are ready to jump into their reclaiming sovereignty by healing not just themselves, but 7 generations before and after them. So please hit that like button and let me know what you think in the comments and how this last 16 years, especially, I would love to hear from you, have shown up for you. What were the lessons that you learned, and what are you looking forward to now as we step into this age of Aquarius? So let's get into this week's 3-card reading, which is so reflective of everything that we're talking about here. Sometimes I just feel like God is punking me, like God is just like chuckling somewhere while she's like dropping these breadcrumbs so that I could then put the puzzle piece together. And that's exactly how I feel about tarot. Tarot is so sacred. It's basically you're reading the energy of the collective. And for those of you that tune into this channel, that is for you. And the way that the story is told this week is just out of this world because it represents everything that I've been talking about as we move into this big shift. So let's start with the immediate past to get a better understanding of what our ancestors are guiding us how they're guiding us to step into this age of Aquarius as we welcome it. The first card that shows up in our reading in the immediate past, so 3-card reading, immediate past, the energy of the present, and the immediate future. The first card that we get here is the 3 of Coins. And this is literally mirroring the energy of Pluto and Capricorn, because as it is, 3 of Coins is governed by the energy of Mars in Capricorn. So what this is all about is that over the past 16 years, because the element of coins represents Earth, represents practicality, material success, this card actually represents a period of collaboration where you've learned how to work as a team from Capricorn to Age of Aquarius, where you realize, oh my God, every person has a vital role. And you're noticing this even happening more and more in corporations now. Notice how the people that are big on social media that have to do with like business training, like Gary Vee, or even Leila Hermosi is another good example. They're all pushing to be a great leader. You have to understand that it's not just you. To be a great leader, you have to have incredibly intelligent, beautiful people that actually are part of your community, that are part of your team, that are part of your corporation. You can't do this alone. And that's what this card represents. It's like, this is all about valuing diversity and ideas and experiences, about learning that success comes from mutual learning, from active listening, from collective effort. This is all what you've learned in the last 16 years to prepare you for the age of Aquarius. This is really, if you think about it, it's a representation of collaboration, but it's in planning. and collective effort that's required to build the temple or to build a very sustainable foundation where you feel safe in your body, you feel safe in this world. So this card emphasizes teamwork and respect also for diverse contributions. And Pluto in Capricorn has shown us that enduring transformation requires shared effort and disciplined organization. So on a personal level, the Three of Coins is highlighting how you've built or rebuilt your own foundations during this transit. Perhaps you've restructured your career, your relationships. Maybe you are no longer in the same relationship, or you've healed your relationship. You're not in the same career path, or you completely changed your career path. But there was this inner life that needed to change in order to align more with true integrity, with long-term stability. So this Three of Coins groundwork has now prepared you for these revolutionary changes that are coming up, because you've learned a lot of discipline. You learned that structure was important, that without structure, you really could not truly birth what it is that you are creating, right? So because of that, the present energy, now this is also big, and this is very important to note because this is how you're feeling right now. The present energy is the Knight of Swords, and it is actually reversed. The thing with this reversed energy is that it is about restless energy. Like you have energy, but you don't know how to channel it. There's motivation, but there's not a very clear outlet, which can leave you very frustrated. This card is about impulsiveness, so we need to be careful with rash decisions and especially scattered thoughts. You need to slow down because you don't want to repeat the same mistakes in the age of Pluto in the age of Aquarius. Burnout. What was one of the most common things that occurred in the age of Capricorn, Pluto and Capricorn, was the fact that so many women, it even became a diagnosis, went through burnout, and human beings in general, where again, it doesn't matter how intellectual you are or intelligent you are, if you don't have preventive medicine practices that are regulating your nervous system and your brain, your generational trauma will catch up to you and you will have a nervous system collapse, which is what ended up happening to me, which some people see as a really bad thing. But remember, the darkest nights of the soul are where you finally, hopefully, will learn the lessons and you can rise. There's nowhere to go but up once you've hit rock bottom, right? So in the immediate present, there's this mental discipline that is needed. Your success is going to require mental clarity, the ability to silence the monkey mind, and the ability for you to stay grounded and centered. And what this is all about, if you think about it, this to me represents Pluto's transition that we're all moving through, because the Knight of Swords reversed is reflecting like this current moment of transition. Pluto leaving Capricorn, like we can all feel it in our bones. We know that something big is happening, but there's a lot of restless, scattered energy because of it. There's uncertainty, right, of the future, of stepping into uncharted territory. So what this is warning us about in the present, our ancestors are like, hey, you need to really check yourself as it relates to impulsiveness, mental chaos, and also the danger of just rushing into this new era, not learning the lessons from the past. This is a very innovative energy that we're moving into, where being and intuition is more important than doing. Please remember that. Being, intuition is more important than doing. The doing happens naturally and proactively when you're in alignment with what it is that you're doing. So this card is all about you needing patience, you need focus as we collectively and personally navigate the next 20 years, and also paying attention to not getting overwhelmed by the speed of change. Because I can't even put in words how quickly life is going to change in just seconds. In one day, I don't know about you all, but for me already, one day feels like thousands of years with the amount of knowledge that gets revealed to me, and with the amount of shifts that we see changing throughout the world. I mean, even last week, think about last week, the government literally had a meeting about unidentified, what do they call them now? UAPs or whatever, of intergalactic star system members that actually come from the ocean, is what they were saying. So I mean, one meeting, one thing you see on TikTok or on social media can change your entire perspective of life. So that's why you're feeling overwhelmed. So it's important to ground, prioritize your nervous system, because you don't have a mental health disorder. You have a nervous system disorder. This is going to be key in order for you to align your actions with true purpose and not get yourself in trouble the way you did back in the when Pluto was in Capricorn. And this is going to be crucial because in the immediate future, we have the Two of Wands. And to me, upright, this is the energy of Pluto in Aquarius. Why? Because the Two of Wands is now we're in a planning phase in the immediate future. We're preparing before we're taking action. We're exploring all the possibilities. We're creating a clear path toward our goals. And hopefully with this new wisdom, right? With these lessons that we don't want to repeat, we're expanding our horizons here, where we're stepping out of our comfort zone, whether we like it or not, to be able to capitalize on significant opportunities. This is a period of discovery, of growth that we're stepping into, where decisions are being made, big decisions, where you are now literally are being faced with, are you going to stay with the familiar? Or are you going to finally say yes to the unknown? This is all about confidence. It's about intuition. It's about trusting your self-knowledge and everything that you've learned in the last 16 years. And think about the age of Aquarius. Pluto and Aquarius, I mean, it literally, this card, Two of Wands, encapsulates that energy so beautifully because this is about vision, planning, stepping beyond your comfort zone to embrace brand new opportunities. This is the energy of the Aquarian themes that I've been talking to you about: innovation, discovery, expanding those horizons. And just as this card is encouraging us to calculate risk taking, Pluto in Aquarius is now inviting us to boldly explore brand new paradigms while staying grounded in a very clear plan. Now, on a personal level, what this card is saying is now you're being challenged to step into your role as the visionary. You're being called, hey, it's time for you to think long term, to explore your own unique path, and to contribute to the collective evolution. Trusting that your self knowledge, the wisdom you've gained, is more than enough, and that you can use your passion to guide you as you now embrace major change. So, what I feel in my heart is that what this reading highlights is a journey from teamwork, learning how to do that, and grounded progress to navigating a lot of scattered energy in the present so that we can prepare for expansive opportunities in the future, so that we can focus on staying grounded, organized, and courageous. That's so key to make the most of what actually lies ahead. Pluto's shift from Capricorn to Aquarius represents a monumental crossroads. This is the transition from dismantling outdated systems to what? To the creation of innovative, inclusive, and futuristic structures. And the tarot guidance from our ancestors this week encapsulates it so beautifully. The past, Pluto and Capricorn, collaboration and teamwork, they brought you a lot of early success, emphasizing planning, discipline, effort, embracing the solid foundations and lessons of discipline, of teamwork, good old Capricorn. While now, in the present, Pluto's transition, restless energy, yes, needs grounding, absolutely, so that you can focus on clarity, on the discipline, the rituals you need to avoid impulsive decisions, to ground that restless energy so you can be clear and so that you don't have to rush into any changes, knowing that divine timing is always on your side. And in the future, so you can embrace this period of careful planning, of bold decision making, where you can step outside your comfort zone with confidence, with passion, knowing that success lies in calculated risk taking and preparation. Step into your role as a visionary, is what this card is saying, daring to explore brand new opportunities while contributing to the collective good. My goodness, this is the time of just profound personal and collective transformation. And it is offering us all the opportunity to align individually, but also collectively with progress, with evolution, all for a better future. That I know to be 1,000% true. So this week we've explored the end of one powerful era and the beginning of another. Pluto's move from Capricorn to Aquarius is now inviting all of us to honor the hard-earned lessons of accountability, and to really look at everything that we've acquired as it relates to wisdom from our shadow work, while at the same time stepping boldly into a future of collective sovereignty, of innovation, and a future where it feels safe to be authentically you. So as we move forward, I think what I would love to offer for all of you as my one final tip is that true progress and evolution always starts within you. Just as Capricorn asked us to rebuild with integrity, Aquarius will remind us to stay true to ourselves while contributing to the greater whole. You can start small by creating rituals, grounding your energy, daring to dream bigger than ever before, because the door to your soul, the door to infinite possibilities, is wide open, but only you can choose to walk through it and open it. And that key is prana. So of course, if this video inspired you, please don't forget to like, to comment, to share it. Please let me know how you've experienced the last 16 years and what you are feeling as you're moving into this age of Aquarius. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you to all of you for sharing these videos with your community so that we can all continue this generational healing journey together. Until next time, trust the path, honor your progress, and remember, you're not just healing yourself, you're healing 7 generations before you and 7 generations after you. I'll see you all in the next video.